Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Imagine sitting in a packed stadium, Coldplay's music pulsing through the air, lights beaming like a dream. It's a moment of pure joy and romance until the stage camera pans to a couple, and the world seemingly comes to a halt. On the giant screen appears a woman, nestled affectionately in a man's arms. But that man isn't her husband, he's her boss, and both of them are married in an instant. Everything explodes, and today, you're about to witness one of the most spectacular downfalls in the history of public affairs, a kiss that shattered a marriage, torched a billion-dollar company, and lit the internet on fire with outrage. This isn't just a scandal, it's a modern tragedy with a soundtrack, a live audience, a victim, and perpetrators who don't seem to feel the slightest bit of remorse.
Whoever wrote the post was believed to have also attended the concert in Boston, and it sure seems that he or she works at the company. They knew Kristin Cabot's precise title in HR, and they also knew that both executives are married.
It all started innocently enough, a sweet, light-hearted moment any couple might experience at a big concert, the kiss cam. That famous roving lens designed to spotlight lovebirds in the crowd and coax a kiss out of them glided smoothly across the sea of spectators. But this time, it didn't just capture a kiss, it caught a shockwave. When the giant screen flashed the image of Kristin Cabot, the head of human resources at a major tech company, with her arm around Byron, her CEO, surrounded by thousands of spectators. The entire stadium held its breath. Even Chris Martin, Coldplay's frontman, looked visibly confused and tried to joke it off on stage to lighten the mood. But it was already too late. In that instant, Kristin, a married woman, and a married CEO walked straight into a storm no one could put out. What followed was no longer private. It turned into a full-blown media disaster, spreading like wildfire. The clip from that moment quickly popped up on TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, and within hours, it had millions of views. But the worst part, Kristin wasn't just caught. She was caught while still wearing her wedding ring in front of tens of thousands of people and the entire online world. And there was one more person who saw it all, her husband Andrew Kidd, a respectable businessman who had stood by Kristin's side for years, sitting somewhere in that stadium with his heart ripped out by the raw truth playing in 4K. Andrew Kidd isn't the flashy type. He doesn't seek the spotlight or enjoy being in the media. Born into one of New England's most prominent families, he was raised on values like morality, integrity, and loyalty. For years, he was Kristin's silent anchor, her husband, her companion, her career advisor, and he even helped her land a leadership role in the family business. When Kristin was appointed as head of HR, it wasn't just a professional milestone, it was Andrew's ultimate act of trust in his life partner. He placed her at the center of it all, home, business, and future, and in one moment, everything came crashing down. As the concert images flooded social media, Andrew was stunned. This wasn't just a personal betrayal, it was a public humiliation. The woman he trusted completely, the one he built a $2 million suburban home with a place where they planned to raise a family and grow old together, had just become the face of a scandal that the entire country couldn't stop talking about. What he got from Kristin was deafening silence, no apology, no explanation, just a kiss, an embrace, and that panicked look in her eyes when the camera hit them, like she knew she was caught. But not fast enough to escape the consequences. Andrew didn't just lose a wife. He lost a partner, a confidant, and his faith in everything he thought was solid. And the most painful part, he did nothing wrong. He didn't cheat. He didn't lie. He was simply blindsided in a drama he never signed up for. Yet, he became the center of public shame as his marriage collapsed live on a giant concert screen to the backdrop of Coldplay's music. And Byron isn't some unknown figure in the tech world. He's the CEO of Astronomer, a rising tech company that had just secured $93 million in funding a few months prior to the incident. He was the face of innovation, a champion of modern leadership, a powerful man, regularly speaking at major conferences, once considered a role model in the startup scene. But all that acclaim crumbled in seconds because of one intimate gesture. At the wrong place, wrong time, and with the wrong person. What stunned people even more wasn't just that and he was having an affair, it was who he was having it with, Kristin Cabot. His own company's head of her. In any organization, especially a billion-dollar startup, the head of HR isn't just a policy enforcer, they're the first line of defense against misconduct. Kristin should have been the one drafting policies on abuse of power, the one organizing ethics training sessions, but instead, she became the person who unraveled it all, and the man at the top let his emotions cross professional boundaries. They didn't just break the rules, they did it in front of thousands of people and the entire internet. After that infamous night, Kristin vanished from social media. Her LinkedIn profile, which detailed her entire career, certifications, and key achievements, was suddenly wiped clean. That wasn't a coincidence. People don't delete their entire professional history over a misunderstanding. She knew she'd crossed a line and she was trying to erase the trail, and he didn't have many options. By the very next morning, Astronomer's board of directors held an emergency meeting. Within hours, he was forced to resign. The company's official statement read, "He no longer meets the leadership standards Astronomer expects." Translation: he got kicked out hard. There had never been a corporate scandal quite this absurd and dramatic. A CEO and head of HR caught mid-affair in public while supposedly on vacation. They weren't exposed by leaked messages, weren't caught sneaking into a hotel room. It happened because they kissed each other in the middle of a Coldplay concert. It's the kind of plotline that would get rejected from a movie script for being too unrealistic, but in real life, it happened, and it destroyed the careers and reputations of two of the most powerful people in their company. While the world waited for an apology, a sign of remorse, or at the very least, some silence, to let things die down, Kristin chose the exact opposite route. Not long after the scandal erupted, she made a surprise return to social media. But it wasn't with an explanation or an apology. It was with glowing selfies and cryptic quotes like, "I'm growing in my own way, and the truth doesn't always need to be explained." These posts didn't just confuse people, they enraged them. Was she pretending like nothing had happened, or did she truly not believe she did anything wrong? The comment sections under each post turned into a battlefield. On one side were furious critics, calling her the HR homewrecker, branding her a hypocrite and a living example of the moral decline in corporate culture. On the other side was a small but vocal group defending her, saying Kristin was just human too, with a right to love and be loved. But regardless of which side you were on, one thing was undeniable: she had chosen to reappear in the most defiant way possible, just when the public was demanding accountability. And then came the rumors spreading like wildfire. Leaks from insiders claimed that Kristin and Byron, despite losing their jobs and sparking a massive scandal, were still secretly dating. There was no apology to the betrayed husband, no retreat from the glamorous lifestyle. They simply carried on as if nothing had happened. Reports suggested they were still meeting up, still in a relationship, and seemingly unashamed. Meanwhile, Kristin's husband and Drew Kidd had all but disappeared from social media. No statements, no rebuttals, no retaliation, but that silence only drew more attention. What was he planning? His silence didn't look like weakness, it looked like the calm before a legal storm. Kristin may have deleted LinkedIn and ghosted a few platforms, but she forgot one crucial fact: the internet never forgets, and in the digital age, social media users aren't just spectators, they're detectives. As soon as the scandal broke, amateur investigations exploded across Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, and countless forums. People began digging through old photos, cross-checking event dates, analyzing past likes and comments from Kristin, and innocent pictures from company retreats. Team dinners and seminars were now re-examined as evidence of a relationship that had likely been simmering for months. That kiss at the concert, it wasn't a slip-up, it was the grand finale of a long string of boundary-crossing moments. The online sleuthing led to a shady discovery: Kristin had quietly sold another property earlier that year while still legally married to Andrew Kitt. The move was immediately labeled as clearing the runway for a scandal, a calculated chess move, not a spontaneous mistake. The picture was becoming clearer: this might not have been an impulsive lapse in judgment. It looked like a long-term plan with carefully disguised steps. What truly infuriated the public wasn't just the affair, it was the attitude. Kristin and didn't just make a mistake, they flaunted it and showed zero regard for the fallout. When a CEO and HR head to people who are supposed to set the moral compass turn a Coldplay concert into a live national adultery show, the public stops being just an audience. They feel insulted, disrespected, lied to, and they don't stay silent. The internet began slapping mocking nicknames on the debacle: Coldplay Cuddlegate, HR homewrecker scandal, kiss cam catastrophe. TikTokers recreated the drama as comedy skits. Parody songs emerged. Deep dive psychology breakdowns of the characters got millions of views. Kristin and were no longer people, they were memes. They became characters in a nationwide social media soap opera. And once you're a symbol of public betrayal, redemption is nearly impossible, while Kristin kept showing up online like nothing happened. And then he faded into oblivion after getting booted from his CEO role. Andrew Kitt, the betrayed husband, chose a quiet but powerful response: lawyers. Sources close to him revealed he'd quickly hired top legal experts in Massachusetts to prepare for a scorched earth divorce, and if anyone assumed Andrew was just a soft-spoken, hurt husband lying low, they were dead wrong. He wasn't staying silent to hide. He was gearing up, preparing for a legal war that could leave Kristin and Andy with no way back. This wasn't going to be just any divorce. It involved the reputation of the Kitt family, a powerful, old money dynasty with deep ties in New England's financial circles. It involved millions in assets and a family business that Kristin had once been a key part of. But most importantly, it was about honor, about the betrayal of trust on the most public stage imaginable. A private affair can be resolved behind closed doors, but a betrayal caught live in front of thousands and then broadcast to the entire world online, that's a wound with consequences far beyond the personal. And Drew's legal team wasn't just reviewing the divorce, they were also investigating potential reputational damage, financial impact on business operations, and whether Kristin had abused her role in the company for personal gain. Legal experts speculated that this could evolve into a complex financial dispute, especially since Kristin had been closely tied to Andrew's assets for years. If his lawyers could prove that she had acted fraudulently or exploited her position, either in the marriage or in the business, Kristin could be left with absolutely nothing in the settlement. And while Kristin continued to post cryptic status updates as if brushing off the backlash, the internet had clearly taken sides. Public opinion swung hard in Andrew's favor. He became a symbol, the wrong husband who stayed dignified, a man who gave his all to his family only to be publicly deceived. Social media rallied behind him, sharing photos and posts that painted him as both heartbroken and heroic, and everyone was waiting to see how he would strike back in court. Because this time, Andrew wasn't the one being hurt. He was the one calling the shots, and he wasn't about to stop until every piece of what he lost was exposed under the law.